Salutations! Welcome to Loving the Language of Literacy. My name is Sophia Lee, and today I'm going to be telling you about all the things in 2015. I know I'm going to end up saying this every single time I make an all the things video for every year that passes, but I truly do believe that 2015 was the best year yet of my entire life. I'm just going to go down the entire list of things I did, going kind of chronologically, of things that I accomplished, of things that happened in the media, of just different claims to fame I have from this year, and just as a way for me to look back and see everything that I actually did do, because what I've realized is that in your teen years, every single year you have more freedom, you have more responsibility, and you have more possibilities of things that you can do and places you can go and just experiences you can have, and I'm so freaking proud of myself for everything I've done this year, and I'm so just ecstatic about all the potential that 2016 has. And for the record, it already is 2016 because, you know, it's the 1st of January and I didn't get this video filmed sooner. But better late than never. Hands down, one of the best things I did in the entire year was join the Young Authors Academy, which is a writing class every single Saturday at my local YMCA. I've made 12 videos at this point focusing on what I've learned and what I've experienced, the writing that I have produced in these classes, and it has been the most amazingly educational and intellectually fulfilling experience I've had this year. I've been in poetry, playwriting, and fiction, and each different genre has introduced me to new people and new teachers and new styles, and just taught me so much about who I am as a writer and who I'd like to be and where I'd actually like to be by this time next year. In February, I did my bookshelf tour featuring a very special character. Hello, my name is Francesca, and I'm like totally better than Sophia. I think we all remember her, and I had so much fun. I made 3 videos actually this year with featuring Francesca, obviously the bookshelf tour, my first quarterly update, and my second, all of which were just so much fun to make. I can't wait to bring her back in 2016. In the month of February, I also had this huge research project for a career that I'd want to pursue when I grew up, and I chose content editing, and I learned all about the process of being a content editor, what it takes to be one, and perhaps my future college I'd like to go to, maybe Emerson. Something that also might want to be mentioned is I got my first boyfriend in February, and wow, things ended due to unforeseen circumstances. I will never forget the experience. It was very interesting to actually be on the other side of these YA novels. For so long I'd be reading these books and saying, I want a boyfriend, I don't want to be alone. And I finally, for like a 6-month period, wasn't. In March, I went absolutely crazy over Paper Towns. I was just so inspired by the wanderlust and how much I just wanted to get out and do things. Because if you don't know, right before 2015 happened, I moved to upstate New York from Los Angeles, California, which is obviously quite a change in weather, culture, etc. I also did another huge project for school. For some reason, I like talking about the projects I did for school. This was featuring Codename Verity, which made it onto my top 15 books of 2015. I absolutely loved this novel, but not before I hated it. I was going to give it actually 2 out of 5 stars for the majority of the time I was reading it. And that produced a 25-page printed screenplay of how I would have treated the book, taking a few of my favorite select scenes and turning it into a kind of movie adaptation for the script. In May, what cannot go without being mentioned was that I ran the Mountain Goat, which is an annual 10-mile run in my hometown. Well, actually not my hometown, but my new hometown, and it was probably the best race I've ever run. Speaking of writing accomplishments, I also submitted a 10-poem poetry portfolio. This coincided when I was taking poetry class at the Young Authors Academy, and I learned so much and put together my lessons from class and from YA, and I created some of the best poems I have written all year. On top of everything, May was the month of 2 very important things in the whole media, movie, TV world, and the first being I binge-watched The Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt with my family in 1 weekend, and it was the best freaking thing ever. She is downright hilarious. The show is so funky. You should most definitely watch it if you haven't already. It's on Netflix. On top of everything, I was introduced to the wonderful magic known as Pitch Perfect. I saw Pitch Perfect 1 right before seeing Pitch Perfect 2. I loved both of them. It is the epitome of cheesy. May was also the very first Mother's Day I spent without my mother, and that was a very big milestone for who I am as a person and just how my life has been after losing her. June was the month of my summer vacation in Helsinki, Finland, London, England, the Swedish archipelago, and Stockholm, Sweden. I have an entire video about it, which is kind of a narrated vlog with me and my best friend just traipsing around Europe and having a blast while doing it. July was probably my most busy month in terms of what I did, what I accomplished, and how much fun I had. I participated in Project Engage, which was a week-long summer camp getting young women interested in the STEM areas. And this week's focus was on biomedical engineering, and it opened up to this entire universe and world I had never really considered as a career, as well as providing the premise for my NaNoWriMo novel. July also meant the Barnes & Noble Book Bash, where I met some of my favorite booktubers of all time. I videotaped the 45-minute Q&A, as well as did just a whole recap of the experience. Probably the best part of everything, even above meeting booktubers, was meeting one of my all-time best internet friends, Bella. She has just been this amazing ray of sunshine in my life. We've become so much more than just internet friends. It was such a surreal experience because we've been talking for half a year at that point online about books and life in general, and finally meeting her, which was something that I will never forget. I also ran the 4th of July foot race on, guess what, 4th of July, which was another 10-mile race, and kind of hard since I didn't really train for that one. July was also my shameless month of binge watching. The two shows that I absolutely fell in love with that month were Emma Approved and the Lizzie Bennet Diaries, both modern adaptations of the Jane Austen books, obviously Pride and Prejudice and Emma. I would highly recommend them. I literally watched the 100 episodes of the Lizzie Bennet Diaries in 4 days. In the month of August, I also went to a week-long running camp, Aim High, and I would truly not be the runner I am today without it. It taught me so much about how running is so much more than just the actual action in the sport, but how it's so mental. And for the record, long-distance runners naturally are just some of the most compassionate, most intelligent people I know, and that might just be because you can't run miles and miles a day without having a lot of endurance and a lot of tolerance for many different situations. In the month, I can't forget to mention that Badlands by Halsey came out, and I listened to this album on repeat from I think like August to November. Completely different from my normal music taste, but it was fantastic nonetheless. September obviously meant the start of school, as well as full swing into cross country. This is my first ever year participating since my old school didn't have it, and it was just such a grueling yet intimate experience with my teammates. We felt like such a family with pasta parties every Friday night and invitationals every Saturday morning. I had never experienced being on a team before, and I'll be doing cross country for my entirety of my time in high school for sure. In October, I also took a trip down to New York City with my cross-country team for the Manhattan College Invitational. We had the entire weekend together as a team, going out to dinner, exploring the mall, and of course the race day craziness in general. And it was most definitely the icing on the cake for the entire cross-country season. I went to the Writing Our Lives Youth Conference, and it was just this experience this one Saturday morning where I went to this school in the actual city because I live in a suburb, and I learned about the struggles that people go through in literally the town next over from mine. It was completely an eye-opening experience. It was the first writing conference I've ever gone to, and I most definitely want to come back next year. That was also the month when I got closer with my now best friend Island. She's been in 2 of my videos. We met in Spanish class and have not stopped talking since then. Speaking of another running accomplishment that happened in October, I ran my very first half marathon, and I surpassed everything that I hoped on. I did it in sub 2 hours at 1 hour, 59 minutes, and 19 seconds. I came in second for my age group, which was 18 and under, and I made an entire video called 13.1 Reasons NaNoWriMo is like running a half marathon, and you would be surprised at how many similarities there are between running long distance and writing 50,000 words in a month. In November, several writing events happened. The first, of course, being National Novel Writing Month, which is an annual event where everyone around the world tries to write 50,000 words in 30 days. I myself won for the 2nd year in a row, and I did it by day 22. On the whole vein of writing that month, I also turned in my writing portfolio for my creative writing class, which is a cumulative portfolio of all the work I did in 10 weeks. It was such a stressful experience putting it all together, but I'm very proud of it and named it a Sonderous Denouement. Something that can't go without being mentioned is that Mockingjay Part 2 came out in November. I have literally gone to the opening day premiere for every single one of the movies. Obviously, Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. It was such a bittersweet conclusion. We cannot go without discussing the fact that I had a very fun early birthday celebration with my aunt and her best friend, who was basically my second aunt, and we went to this really great restaurant in Rochester called the French Quarter, had a blast. And instead of putting Happy Birthday Sophia like a normal aunt on my birthday cake, she put Happy Birthday letters. I'd been telling her actually the night before that some of my friends at school had started calling me letters, and she listened to me. I cannot express to you how appreciative I am of that, as well as how much I laughed because of it. November also meant Black Friday, and this particular Black Friday I went book shopping at Barnes & Noble with one of my best friends that I've made this year, Ella, as well as her younger sister. I picked up 2 signed copies of books I featured in my holiday book haul, and it was such a fun experience. I spent way too much money also on the book outlet Black Friday sale, and Basically what I'm telling you is I very much gave into the consumerism feeling surrounding Black Friday, and I don't regret it at all because cheap books. Finally, we have the month of December, which was of course the month of my birthday. Yes, it was. I turned another year older and glamorous as ever. As well as I received Final Cut Pro. You wouldn't know it because my laptop can't process it, but I do have an iMac at home, and when I get back home, I will be using it full time. And speaking of not being home in general, I am not in upstate New York. I'm not even in the United States at the moment. I am in Oxford, England for the next 3 months from January to March of 2016. I arrived on the 27th of December, and it's just been a culturally immersive experience being in England. Of course, I still speak the language, but a lot of their little terms and slang are definitely not the same. I will be starting school next week, which is quite a daunting yet very exciting thought. Kind of. I was also interviewed for a podcast, and while I cannot reveal what the actual podcast is yet because she has not made the announcements to my knowledge, it was such a weird experience getting an email like, "Hi Sophia, we've been watching your blog for a while. We wanted to interview for this podcast that we are creating." And I was just like, "Oh my god, are you serious?" It was such a nerve-wracking experience, and I can't wait to give you the link and show you how that turned out. Overall, 2015 was a fantastic year. I know I meant to make this video like 5 minutes long. It's probably like 15 at this point because I'm Sophia and I talk forever. 2015 was the year that I fell in love for the first time. I consider so many more people my friends than I ever would have thought. Thank you so much to Island and Ella and Sayaka and Mohammed and Nancy and Maddie and even Chaz. I filled more than 2 notebooks with my own writing. I read 150 books and I made somewhere in the ballpark of 80 to 90 videos this year, and I cannot freaking wait to see what 2016 brings me. Tell me in the comments below what you've done this year, what you've accomplished, what you've experienced, who you've met, where you've gone. I want to hear it all. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Keep calm, read on, and I'll see you real soon. Goodbye. If you enjoyed this video and like to see more like it, give it a big thumbs up and comment below. If you liked it even more, hit the subscribe button. All my social media is at SLS Books, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram, etc. And my previous videos are below me.